In a world of waiver wires and trades, where every Sunday is a battle, one person's decisions can mean the difference between glory and crushing defeat. This is Meet the GM.
Hi there and welcome to episode number 12. So Mr. Dozen Man, we've got Sean on today, who's the king of our own home league. How's it going?
Thanks. How are you, Johnny?
I'm okay. I've lost count. How many times have you actually won it? Is it 5 or 4?
I think it's
Is it
5. Yeah, because I think the league's been going for 13 years.
Yes.
So
I've been in 5 finals. They beat me twice.
Yeah, I do have all the rings sort of next to it and the trophies sort of in the other room, so I could sort of dig it out. But I figure, you know what, let's not be, too.
It's only Craig's going to see it after they won it last year and didn't come and get it. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's missed his chance to ever get a hold on it potentially. So
poor boy,
him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I couldn't believe he hadn't even got it, and then obviously you won it back.
I can't believe I won it back, but there we go. I mean, it's welcome here. Yeah. I will say that.
Yeah, it's found its home anyway. I won it back up here at some point, and I thought last year I might have had a chance, but it just didn't happen in the playoffs, unfortunately.
It is weird. I mean, I know it's very unexpected. It still is very unexpected when I win. It's sort of like all the scheming and dealing, and it's sort of like I usually think this is probably in vain, but yeah, it does work out sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's it. It does work out, and like I did mention the new boy and the new one saying, make sure you check your wallet and your socks afterwards and you deal with some of it. And it wasn't just aimed at you. There was one or two others. Like I've been on because he is a new player, and I don't want him taking advantage of him the first. Like it's only the second year in fantasy. So
I mean, yeah. As long as Doug is out there, then Doug is the real sort of
yeah, it's like I remember one of the dynasties years ago. He gave me some crap trying to get Patrick Mahomes. It's like no. It's like
there is one dynasty league where Doug did properly fleece me because it was Superflex, and I'd never played sort of Superflex before, and he offered me not very much for Josh Allen, and that has haunted me for at least 4 years now. So that was a mistake.
But you learn from it.
Yeah, it just turns out that learning from it still doesn't get over the fact that you've lost just Josh Allen. But
and a dynasty, yeah, that's not a good one.
Yeah.
I lost my track there. So where about are you from?
So from Newcastle, but now live in Edinburgh. I mean, not too far apart, really. So
you're into football quite a lot.
Yeah. I tend to go home for one of the 3 Fs, which is either friends, family, or football. So not necessarily in that order, priority-wise, but
Well, going by the stories on Instagram, it's usually probably football is maybe second or first.
It usually is, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that is the real St James's Park is the real factory of sadness right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I see you've changed that to your lucky name for the new league as well. So I'm like, oh god, here we go.
It's just one I'm going to stick with. That is my OrkneyBowl team name. That is my name in every single fantasy league that I'm in, and it has been for an awfully long time now.
Well, your OrkneyBowl team name is actually Newcastle Colts.
Of course, yes. So yeah, I mean, you've corrected me immediately there because I've been an idiot.
You're the third one in a row that can't remember their OrkneyBowl. They come on for Meet the GM and they can't remember their fucking team name. I was like, okay.
Well, no, it's perfect.
But in fairness, it's taken a while if you've even actually changed the team name, even though I keep on tagging you in it. But so, how long have you been following the NFL?
Well, I remember the first game that I ever watched was the Super Bowl between the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears. So that was 2007? I think maybe 2000. Yeah, I think about 2007 or 2006.
Yeah, 2008 the Giants beat the Patriots in their unbeaten season. So maybe the year before that, maybe.
So yeah, it was just sort of it was a situation where I just sort of. I mean, I am nominally a sort of Indianapolis Colts fan, And I will be honest, I did sort of just bandwagon. I was like, wow, that Peyton Manning seems good. Wow, I like that Mathy and Freeness. Freeney and Mathis. I've just merged them two together. And sort of was like, yeah, okay, I'll stick with these guys. And then that has fast forwarded to nothing since. So,
Well, in fairness, there wasn't really much before. There was a lot of like championship games, so there wasn't anyway in the Super Bowl, but not for a long time. But it's like it was a good team to follow. You got one of the best running backs in the league at the moment, so you can't argue with that. You got our old quarterback who did well for you last year. So, and until he got injured, well, he was out for it. They were flying. So it's maybe looking up a bit.
Not against the strongest schedule in the world, and I do feel like the team is, it's a bit of a funny one with the Colts, where Chris Ballard, the GM, is very much seems to be in desperation mode now. He's making moves that I just don't think really make sense, and I think based on how I think this season could be disastrous, but we'll leave that until later on.
Obviously, so we know who you root for, and we know when you started following them. That rattled off the next couple. So, who's your favourite player from the past? Obviously, you said a few names there, but who do you think is your favourite player?
I mean, I think the obvious ones are, with the case of the Colts, until a few years ago, they were blessed with Peyton Manning and then Andrew Luck, and I guess I more so got into the NFL perhaps around the Luck era, and I personally found him just like sort of so interesting to watch, just because he had that sort of I don't know, I guess he could just move a bit more. He could sort of do all the razzle dazzle stuff. I mean, I still remember the sort of the Kansas City playoff game where they rally back from like a seemingly impossible position, and then he picks up the fumble and just crazy. I mean, I absolutely loved watching him play, and the Colts have had some pretty cracking players over the time that I've sort of followed them as well. I mean, I really like Dallas Clark. Obviously Reggie Wayne. It's just one of these things where...
Who was the other one across from Reggie Wayne? Because you had two good wide receivers around that time.
I guess initially there was Marvin Harrison and then Reggie Wayne, and then after that was sort of T.Y. Hilton. There has been a sort of line of progression at wide receiver. I would politely say that it's maybe not quite as strong now, but there has always sort of been a bit of a presence at wide receiver. I mean, now getting rid of Pittman and relying so heavily on Alec Pierce is going to be interesting. But yeah, the Colts have always sort of had at least one decent receiver. Very curious to see if that runs out next season.
Well, so you still got Downs, but again, it's a bit.
Yeah, I like him. I guess I like Alec Pierce. It's just it feels like
I liked him in the OrkneyBowl last year because
good season when he's been there for 4, and
he got a lot of money.
He did. But I just found that whole process very interesting. I know they sort of had to keep him, but I mean that's a lot of money for a guy who has not done a huge amount beyond, last season really.
I don't think I would draft him if he signed for any other team, but the fact he does get a mill with Jones, I might still draft him late on.
The problem I think that's a very good point from a fantasy perspective. I think my only thing there is he's still relying on Daniel Jones, A, coming back, and B, returning to that level that he was at last season. And I think that could be a real challenge. Because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'll know better than me, but sustaining that level it's not something that Daniel Jones has done in abundance over the years.
No, but then he didn't have much help with the Giants.
Well, that's true as well.
Yeah, when you're getting hit after 2 seconds, 3 seconds, you're not really going to be able to do much, to be honest. And he's always going to be famous for falling over the grass when he should have scored against the Eagles.
Yeah.
But that's a story.
I mean, it's an interesting time to be a Colts fan, and I say that I feel like the fan base is probably as unhappy as it's been in quite a long time, actually, because it feels like people have really, really run out of faith in the GM and I guess Shane Steichen, the head coach, to some extent as well.
Well, it didn't finish well when you ended up with Old Man Rivers as your quarterback to finish the season off. Like, they could have just stuck with it. That was embarrassing.
It was crazy. It really does say quite a lot of what they think of, I guess, Riley Leonard, but also just sort of just the situation that there was no one else that they could think to bring in. I mean, it was just a wild situation. Don't get me wrong, I very definitely watched the first game back, the one against the Seahawks, and he was far more competent than I thought he would be, but that's not really saying very much.
No. Well, at least with the Cardinals, they had Brissett, and they never won a game, but at least he was entertaining.
Well, yeah.
Especially for fantasy-wise. But
yes, it was definitely a wild card, I think, as well. In some leagues, it was sort of like, when it's sort of like a Superflex league, and it's sort of like, when they're quite deep leagues, and there was definitely one league where I had to grab Phillip Rivers at one point, and I was like, I don't feel great about this, even as he is my team's quarterback, because it's just like, this can't end well. And he was serviceable, I guess.
Yes, it wasn't pretty, and obviously it hurt Jonathan Taylor the job because he was stopping him. But so, who's your favourite player at the moment on the team?
Well, I mean, I think it has to be Jonathan Taylor. I'd love to be more creative with any of these answers, but I mean, I just think the guy he is the flashpoint in a pretty okay-ish offense. But I mean, yeah, just the way he was sort of playing the first half of last season just sort of exemplifies what he can be. Like, he's just a potential sort of like he could score at any moment. Like, I just think he's a great running back in an era where running backs aren't necessarily valued as much. The fact that there was even talk of him potentially being an MVP candidate sort of for part of the season, I think is just like indicative of the fact that, and he's not really like a McCaffrey either, and that he's not a supreme sort of pass catcher. It's sort of like,
no, it's all in the ground.
He's like he's a proper running back. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of him, of his in that respect. On the other side of the ball, I mean, yeah, I guess historically I've liked Kenny Moore, but I definitely don't think he's a fit anymore for the in lieu God, how do you pronounce this? I've never actually figured out how to pronounce his surname, Lou Amaruno's defense. But I always like DeForest Buckner as well. You sort of know that he's just when he's playing, just a sort of real colossus inside.
Is Franklin still there?
They traded him to Green Bay.
Oh, geez. I like Zaire Franklin. Like,
yeah,
he's not been that great the last year or two, but when a couple of years ago
he very definitely had some flaws, and I think that's maybe why. But one thing I would say of Chris Ballard is he has always been able to find linebackers. The Colts have had some really like decent inside linebackers over the years. I mean, the one who went to the Giants, Bobby.
Okereke.
Yeah, I mean, he put up monster tackle numbers. Zaire Franklin's put up monster tackle numbers. EJ Speed even put up good tackle numbers. It's sort of like they do just find these people who will just make endless tackles.
I think Bobby Okereke, he went to agency, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he signed anybody.
Yeah, there's a real massive. This is the first time in quite a few years, and I guess before that as well there was Shaquille Leonard as well. Yeah, but
he was good.
Now this is the first year in a while that the Colts have basically nobody at sort of linebacker this year, and I think that's going to be, it has to be addressed in the draft, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got that'll be coming up.
Not in the first round though.
No, yeah, unfortunately.
So I've got Travarius Ward and Sauce Gardner, one of whom has major concussion issues, and one of whom I'm not sure wants to be there. But anyway.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, Sauce Gardner's a funny one, because again, he's a great player, but yeah, it's a lot to give away for.
Yeah, for a cornerback. I always think you can't give away that much for a cornerback because it's never worked for anyone else as far as, I mean, Jalen Ramsey, it never did it. Not really.
No, well, he won a Super Bowl, but it wasn't because of him.
No, and it's just so much. It's so much to give away, and the team still has so many other. I mean, the lack of a pass rush has been the case for so long. It's sort of a little bit like maybe focus on that first, especially now that one of our sort of starting, I guess, ends has sort of gone as well. So it's like back to the drawing board there as well. It's a very odd way of building a team in that they're just letting sort of starters leave and not really buying and bringing anyone in agency.
Yeah, it's a shame, obviously, because they are reviewed for having a good defensive team as well, but obviously they're maybe not so great this year, but whether they've got the firepower to have shootouts is probably another question.
Well, yeah, definitely not if Jones isn't fit, which is a possibility.
Because even if he comes back, he's not going to be 100% for at least 6-7 weeks before to get ready. So by that time the season,
which is why I'm very concerned that we could be just about to give the Jets quite a nice draft pick and quite a loaded draft next year. I think Ballard has just went a little bit crazy to save his job, and it could be about to blow up in his face. Well,
they do, though. That's the problem. Some of them panic a bit more than.
He's been very out of character for a year or so now. So yeah, I think he's in desperation mode.
Well, that's not great. So, who's your favourite player in the NFL, like from the past or present in the NFL, that's not on your team?
Well, I've thought about this because I've sort of thought about I always used to love, for example, Chad Ochocinco, like Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, sort of like the proper sort of, the sort of diva wide receivers. And I like that. Obviously, all of them were very good in their own respects. And I mean, I think as well, Adrian Peterson was another one who was just like, it's just the sort of the fact that anything can happen. When they touch the ball, like for me, just that sort of explosiveness is always going to be the most exciting thing about the game. So, yeah, if I was to pick one, I mean, yeah, I'm going to stick with the fun one and go with Ochocinco just because when I started following the league, when I started following the NFL, he was just sort of like, he was the most, I guess, charismatic, shall we say.
That's one word for calling it, yes.
Yeah.
Bonkers is
bonkers I can think of other words you can see that you might call them.
The old Scottish term is bonkers is the other one, right? So.
Yeah, yeah.
So obviously you don't have a first round pick. So who do you? We'll go over a second round pick then. Who do you think the Colts should aim for in the draft?
Do you know what it is? I genuinely I couldn't give you sort of a name as to who I think they should draft. I think in terms of a position, I really do think, and it's a little bit mad given how bad Chris Ballard has been at drafting, sort of in the second round generally, or certainly in the defensive side of the ball. But I think it has to be a pass rusher because, I mean, Latu alone cannot be the entire pass rush. You can't expect him to do everything. So I think it has to be another, another pass rusher. Because if it's not, it doesn't matter if you have Sauce Gardner and Javarius Ward back there. It just means teams are just going to run all over them again, and they'll still just get picked apart. So yeah, that would be. I'm not going to give you a name as to which player because
you could be anybody by the second round.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. Well, obviously we've sort of touched on it already. So, what do you think the team's prospects for 2026 are, and what do you think the record might be?
I have a horrible feeling it's going to be something like 5-12, 6-11, which I think would be again disastrous in such a deep draft next year, and especially when we don't have our own pick. I just think Daniel Jones isn't going to be A, ready, and B, again, it's still that concern of is he going to be able to get back to that level, and the fact that the team has lost some starters. I think it's going to be a struggle next year. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to the upcoming season.
Well, that's how I usually feel. So again, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
A bit more optimistic this year. So the more one, obviously, it shouldn't be yourself, but who do you think is going to end up with the number one pick in next year's draft?
In next year's draft, I mean,
it could be.
I mean, I'm trying to. I think in my head I had sort of two teams, one of which is Cleveland, because I just always assume Cleveland are going to be bad, which feels slightly disrespectful, but also
sorry, Arthur.
It's probably right. I think another one and maybe I'm totally misremembering, but the other one in my head is Arizona. Who is Arizona's quarterback right now? I genuinely can't
Jacoby
remember.
Brissett.
Right, they might be in the mixer as well because.
But then they've got Trey Benson as the running back. Unless it,
I mean they're running. I mean Trey Benson is. Yeah, can't stay healthy. I mean, has Marvin Harrison Jr. really sort of took off yet? He hasn't really. I know that Michael Wilson did well, but it's sort of, it feels like a team that sort of just can't really ever.
They just go through McBride. That's all it is.
They do have McBride, yeah, but
that's it. Yeah.
I mean, can you really rely on that all the time? I'm just not sure about them.
No. And it's probably one of the hardest divisions in the whole NFL. So.
Yeah,
when you're up against the Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers, you're
I think that combination. I think the lack of talent and divisional strength means that they are probably in for a bit of a tough time.
Cool. Well, maybe not for them.
How about you? Who do you think? I'm going to throw that one back at you.
The Cardinals have probably got a good shot. Also, I don't think the Giants will be in the running this year, hopefully. It all depends on Jackson Dart and bloody Scatterbo. But and Neighbours, yeah. Well. The Jets are a bit of a mess. I do feel sorry for Wilson and Hall. Two great players in such a dumpster fire. But Miami, you don't know what you're going to get there. They've done well getting rid of about like 179 million dead money, but it's Malik Washington Malik Washington, the number one wide receiver. It's like,
if I'm Malik Willis, I'm very much
I like him, but
this
not that.
I'm just a bit like, what is he meant to do there? He's got no one to throw to, does he? I mean, they even got rid of Waddle.
Yeah. But
he doesn't have Hill or Waddle. I mean, at least Tua had those two. Like he's got no one to throw to. It is.
I'm guessing they'll be picking up a couple of wide receivers, maybe in second, third round of the draft.
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure to put on two rookies. But yeah, I mean, I think they could be bad, and that's not an easy division that they're in with Buffalo and New England there.
No, but probably.
But it also have the Jets.
But the Jets' defence is usually pretty good. That's the thing that keeps Jets. Yeah. Like they might lose 7-6 or 6-3, but they're not exciting team to watch against. But I would probably go the Jets. I think
another perfectly understandable choice.
Yeah, especially with Geno's the quarterback.
I mean that does actually sort of fit into one of my sort of core fantasy draft beliefs, which is. I try as much as possible not to draft any Browns or any Jets in any given year. It doesn't matter what year it is. I'm just sort of like, I have so little faith in the organizations that I'm sort of just like, I might see, okay, that, like, for example, when Amari Cooper was on the Browns, I was like, he's not a bad player, but he plays for Cleveland, therefore I will not pick him. It doesn't matter who the players are. I mean, Breece Hall, I don't think I've ever had him in a league, I don't think, because I'm just
I
like,
have.
Or maybe I have, but I try not to where possible, because it's sort of just like, I mean, Garrett Wilson was another one. It's sort of like, he is still a Jet though, and that's a problem. So
the thing is, though, when he was healthy at the start of the year last year, he was getting the targets, he was getting the points. Not many touchdowns, but he was getting the PPR points and the yards. Then he got the hospital ball, and that was him out.
As I say, I think for me, it's just sort of like I recognise the individual talent that these guys might have, and in some cases they can score points almost in spite of that. But yeah, I do sort of try as a general rule in fantasy just to avoid those two teams.
So if you ever draft one of those, you'll check and make sure you're feeling okay.
Yeah. I mean that'll be sort of that sort of thing where people are like, how what would you do if you were sort of being held against your will and you wanted someone to find out that you're in a state of duress. That would be it for me.
Pick up a Jet or
drafting a Cleveland Brown
or a Jets, but
yeah,
good to know. Yes. I'll put that one out in the group so we know you're in trouble if you've drafted one of those come the draft time.
Yeah, it really will be.
So when did you first get into fantasy football?
Well, I was thinking about this as well. I think it must have been around about, I'm going to say 2011, I think. But it sort of was in a league with some friends for a few years, but it was one of those ones where a couple of people are active and then a lot of them are not after the draft. I mean, some of them didn't even bother with the draft. So it took a while. And I would say actually that when I started to really, I guess, get in a bit more into fantasy NFL was from about 2012 onwards, which was when I started working with Doug. He sort of broadened my fantasy horizons. I guess from there, now I'm just, I'm in it. I'm sort of, hooked for 14 or so years, I guess.
Yeah, it's easy to be hooked. So, who is your...
Well, yeah, I mean, you would know better than anyone, I guess, right?
Yes.
I mean, the master of the sprawling, masterpiece that is OrkneyBowl. It's just sort of, I cannot imagine
108
logistics
teams
that go into that.
My brain doesn't really stop, put it that way. I'm always thinking of things to go and do stuff, and then, like I've got all the fixtures made up for all the divisions, and I'll have to swap them over when the thing's done. It's just a pity I can't do them before the draft. To me, that's the bad thing about Sleeper. Because they randomise the draft, they don't let you do the fixtures before. Well, in fairness, I used to fix the fixtures in NFL, and then after the draft, they'd just fucking do whatever they want afterwards anyway. So it's easier to swap them on Sleeper. So that's fine enough. So
okay.
And it takes about 10 minutes if I don't have any kids annoying me to do the whole fixture list. So it's not too bad, and it does tend to save in the right order. I think out of all the fixtures last year, I had one fixture wrong out of the 8 divisions and 14 weeks in each division. And I just said to them, I said, you're playing each other. So they were okay to swap, and I just swapped it over on Sleeper while the game was on. And it didn't make any difference. The 2 teams that got swapped to both won anyway. So it was just different points against, basically. But that was the only one that was different, because I was looking at my spreadsheet and it didn't match up with Sleeper. So I'd obviously missed one, but it was just 2 games that swapped over, and that was it. So it's not bad to do all that. So So who's your biggest rival in the OrkneyBowl? It doesn't have to be in your league, just in the whole of the OrkneyBowl.
It does have to be Doug, I guess, really, just because I've known him the longest. I mean, not to. There is a certain satisfaction with getting one over Craig as well, but that's just
always,
it's just
always.
Yeah, everyone could say that. So I think it's probably only really, though it's definitely Doug that comes to mind. Though it's sort of like, if I can beat him, I'm usually like, okay, that does have a little bit of extra sort of mustard on it. Yeah.
Nice one. I'm sure Doug is going to enjoy that one. I have to try and get him on this thing too.
I can't say I'm probably nowhere near his top 3 or something, but Craig will be filling all 3 spots, for example. But
well, maybe Fraser as well, because obviously they're in the same division again, and they're from the same village. So it's a bit of fun. So how many leagues do you actually take part in each year, not including any baseball leagues?
Yeah, I think it's 8 now, going up to 9. So I think that's sort of manageable. Sort of means that you sort of got you can sort of tinker and sort of get invested in it without sort of being stretched too thin, but also not being in so few that it's sort of like everything's riding on like 1 or 2 if you have a dodgy season. So I think actually it sounds. I think 8 to 9 is actually pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I would really want that many more.
Yeah, I have cut down some. I've still got quite a lot, but
Dare I ask how many? Do you know?
I think the ones that are renewed so far, I think I've got 40 in total. But some 40? Of them are best. Some of them are best ball as well, though. It's just I'm not sussing out. So, but I had, last year was probably one of my better years for quite a while, because I was able to concentrate more. And I like this new. All the leagues I do has that auto sub feature just in case, but they have to play after you've played and all that. You know what I mean? So because I don't get home to work till the games have finished working at 6 o'clock. So it's handy for me for the early games because I leave for work at like 9:30, and it's like I get back at 6. So it's a handy thing to have. But I've only had to use it once, I think. So it's not actually there, but it's handy to set up and knowing that you don't have to get in trouble from work from nipping away to try and look at your phone.
Yeah, I mean, I try and set my teams up as fully as possible, but I mean, I do sort of get little, I do get the notifications if someone's sort of out an hour before. But then it's sort of like I also know that if I'm, going to the pictures or whatever, then I'll sort of probably set an auto sub just as a backup. So
yeah,
it is a good feature to have.
It is a good feature. It's one of the better ones, unlike apart of their fantasy, the football league thing that they did with the English Premier League. Apart from that was a shambles, but I never take part in that anyway because I don't know much about football. So I know a bit more about this football, but yeah, not that one. I don't really watch it that much. So which sort of format do you prefer? Do you prefer dynasty or redraft? Or keeper in there as well.
That was something I was going to say as well, because I was thinking, I guess the league that I always sort of most focus on each season is the Show Me the Money Keeper League. The one that's been going for so long, and I do like that sort of the sort of keeper aspect where there is still that bit of, it's not full dynasty, it's not full redraft. I sort of like that sort of hybrid approach because
it's only 2 players as well, so it's
yeah, exactly. And I think though that having that bit of control, it means that regardless of where you are in the league, like even if you are sort of like someone who's gone, quite deep in the sort of championship bracket, and if you do or don't win, it means you're still not going to be, left with a couple of guys who you don't really want at the end of the first, round. So I do like keeper in that respect because I think you still have to make sure you get those decisions right as well, because if you don't, it would be very easy to then sort of drop off, but also it means that you're not sort of totally buggered for multiple years. So I think I would probably actually say keeper, but after that, I'm increasingly getting into dynasty. It took us a few years to sort of really get there with that, but now I'm sort of like, okay, I sort of like the sort of trying to figure out the value of picks in particular. I mean, I guess I've always tried to do that with the Show Me the Money one as well, but I do think
you do like a trade, yeah.
I do like a trade, yeah. But I think that with dynasty though as well, it's almost a bit harder because you just you're thinking a few years ahead, and unless you are, I'm not super up. I'm not someone who really pays much attention to college football per se. I just sort of know like if a draft class is meant to be good, and then I sort of build that into my thinking. But I do sort of like that fact that with dynasty, it's sort of like you do have to be switched on all the time. You can't just sort of punt on a season because otherwise you're just going to be punting for season after season. So I think it keeps it interesting for the longer term, and it gives you a chance. It can be more strategic, I think.
It can be, but you probably get more trades in a dynasty than you would the redraft, because obviously people will go all in to win. They'll try and get the players, give away their picks for the future and stuff like that. But
I mean, I'm in somewhere like some teams have like some pretty strong teams have like ones that are very definitely in hunt for titles, and they still have like 3 first-round picks for the next year, and you're sort of like, how does anyone possibly have a chance of catching them? And yet, invariably, people do, and it's sort of just, it's interesting to see how things can change just in a really sort of unexpected way as well. So, there's more strategy, but there is still that element of unpredictability, which I think is important.
Definitely. And so the next one, do you prefer Superflex or a 1 QB league?
Unquestionably 1 QB, actually, because I think that in most leagues, right? I mean, what would you say is the average size of an NFL fantasy league?
What,
is it 12? Is it 10?
12? 10 or 12. Like 8's,
right.
8's a bit easier, but obviously we like 16. I was in a 20 once and I didn't like that. I mean, because I sort of think then, right, if you're in a 12 or a 10,
it just means it's too quarterback centric. If you have, I mean, obviously it does go back to who you draft, but I sort of feel like it just makes it really hard if you don't have two good quarterbacks, and the drop off can be quite steep. So I'm a bit like, I think one quarterback, it means that then it's more balanced across like how well have you drafted your entire squad as a whole, rather than just like, have you got two good quarterbacks, which I think can bail out some not particularly good teams. So yeah, I always think one QB. Yeah, that would be my preference.
It's a more fun draft because not all, like, you're not going to get 6 quarterbacks in the first 6 picks.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
there's more sort of variety.
Yeah.
There.
And you get slagged off if you pick a quarterback too quick. Well, you do by Craig.
Exactly. That sort of thing of like, like when do you sort of go for Josh Allen, or like I think then it sort of does force you to sort of think as well about like, I guess the other thing I was sort of thinking as well is sort of the difference between the number of flex positions. I am realizing, I know this sort of doesn't necessarily go back to this question, but the number of flex positions is also really interesting as well, because if you have 2, it sort of does sort of change your approach compared to number of flex positions and number of wide receiver positions as well, because the 3 wide receivers, I think I've realized you have to draft a wide receiver early. If it's just 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, then you can sort of, again, there's more variety there. So, yeah, I'm increasingly realising the composition of a league is really important, which sounds really obvious, but I guess I'd never really thought about it that much before.
I know in the OrkneyBowl, like we were talking, if you're early pick, there's maybe 4 running backs that if you've got one of them in your team, you can worry not having a wide receiver in the first round. Like Bijan, Gibbs, Taylor, and McCaffrey. Because they can easily score you 40 points a week on their own.
Yeah.
But other than that, like wide receivers, you tend to usually get about 30 points, 20 points, because obviously you get a 0.1 point for a target sort of thing. So, but there is a lot of that. Like I say, if you're not getting one, because I think most of the drafts this year in the OrkneyBowl will be Gibson, Bijan, the first 2, one way or another, because the points of Gibbs, Pacheco's not going to take much off of Gibbs, and Bijan, make sure you pick up the right one, Robinson, and not the other one.
Yeah.
Because that would be the butt joke forever in the OrkneyBowl if you pick up Brian Robinson the 101.
It really would, yeah. That would be an absolute disaster.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, God, yeah. It's just like, again, it sounds really obvious, but the scoring aspect of sort of like, with OrkneyBowl, I think that sort of this sort of specific nature of the scoring does really sort of make you think like, okay, what exactly is the best approach? And I guess that opens up different avenues. But to go back to the original question, I think that's why I prefer one QB, because you sort of know that, guys are going to, the people in leagues are going to have to actually think about it a bit more rather than just be like, okay, Joe Burrow's still available now, I'll just grab him. Yeah.
The one thing I noticed earlier on, that in year 1, the 101 standard, like the main one, was Justin Jefferson, who got injured. Year 2, it was McCaffrey. Did he get in the pitch at all? I can't remember, maybe one game. And then year 3 was Chase, who lost Burrow early and was never... He was okay, but not 101
not
you would
like
hope to get. So, I hope I don't pick Gibbs. I hope they go for Bijan then, because obviously I've got Gibbs in the home league. Don't want nothing to happen to Gibbs. Rattle the cotton wool. But it's been quite... So it's like the OrkneyBowl curse. Not the Madden curse, the OrkneyBowl curse. The standard 101 thing, we get buggered. So, what sort of player do you tend to draft the most, whether it's a good idea or a bad idea?
I always like to draft a running back first. I'm just that way inclined. I want to get a sort of quality one, because especially now, I sort of think it's getting harder and harder to find like good, dependable options. Even in a league where you only potentially need 2, if you really load up on tight ends and wide receivers for flex positions. I think if you don't have at least one good running back, you're really in trouble. So unless someone like a Jamar Chase or I guess a Justin Jefferson is around, or CeeDee Lamb, I will try and pick a running back first. It's not always worked, but it's still an approach that I think is probably worked more often than not, I guess I would say. In redraft leagues, I mean, if it's a dynasty league, I'm more flexible. But yeah, in redraft leagues in particular, I'm sort of like, I want a running back first.
You know me, I do like my running backs.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's because I've watched it for so long, back then, hard-hitting running backs, it was just fun to watch and stuff like that. Have I not done the draft order for your division yet? I'll have to do that at some point. There's one of our draft pick you have, I've not got on there. I must have done it somewhere back up. Oh no, here we go. Oh, you've got the 101. So there goes your choice of running. Do not pick Gibbs. That's all I can say. Just go for Bijan.
Well, I'll think about it. I mean, fortunately, I have a bit of time.
You have a bit of time, yes.
There's some interesting options, I guess. But yeah, I almost certainly will pick a running back there.
You sort of have to. Can you? Obviously, 2 years ago when I got relegated, I went for McCaffrey 101. I traded away my second and my third to get the 108 and took Hall. So I was doomed from the start. But yeah, I got McCaffrey at the 106 last year, and they helped me win the league. So, but no, I would never have taken him at 101 again.
No, and I think that's another thing that's interesting about this coming season as well, is the fact that McCaffrey scored so many points last season, Taylor got a load of points last season, and yet neither of them are going to be I don't think either of them are going to. I'd be surprised if they were in the top two of many leagues, just because I sort of think it sounds like San Francisco are realising they probably can't just run him into the ground.
The thing is, it was all catching for most of his points. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a bit like, and I just don't think Jonathan Taylor would be a very good pickup this year. Just because I just think he's going to face so many, run heavy defenses just to sort of stop him, because they'll know the Colts can't really do much else. Yeah, I don't fancy McCaffrey. I don't fancy McCaffrey as much, but I certainly don't fancy Jonathan Taylor this season.
No, but I think what pick have I got? I've got the 8th pick. So we'll see what happens here. So who's the worst player you've drafted?
Well, I'm not sure if this is necessarily like. I was sort of thinking, do I sort of say someone who I picked really high and then it went wrong, or just a sort of more circumstantial one? And I think one where I'm sort of like, that was a bad one, was there was a season in Show Me the Money a couple of years ago where I had sort of really given away almost everything. And my first, I think I had like my 2 keepers, and then I think I had a 4th round pick, which I think I took Mike Evans maybe. And then, so my first running back, so my next pick was the 8th round, and I only had 1 pick there, and I picked Perrine when he was on the Broncos, and it just was a total disaster, because it was like he didn't get I was like, maybe it's going to be 50-50 with I can't even remember who it was that they had at the time.
No, it wasn't Javonte Williams, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. That's right.
Rookie year,
and instead he just didn't. He didn't like Perrine got nothing, and it was sort of like I sort of held him, and I was like, he's just not scoring here, and it was just a total. I think eventually just had to drop him after X number of weeks and sort of trying, but I mean, when that's sort of your 4th pick and you're making it in the 8th round, you have to sort of get it right. And I sort of botched that one massively. It totally undermined the rest of my season.
I think in this year, have you even got a 4th round pick? Is it not your first pick about round 7 or 8 again?
Probably.
You certainly went all in.
I did very much go all in this year, which is admittedly my sort of approach generally is just
go for it.
Well, just sell next year, and then the next year you'll just sell the year after.
Well, actually, what's
Unless
going to be happening next year is you'll be able to do 2 years of picks you can draft, you can trade away. So that'll be interesting. As long as you don't bugger off.
I sort of respect people who are prepared to sort of stick with their team and sort of like believe in sort of what they've drafted, and I think that's great. I'm just one of these people who I'm too much of a tinkerer. I just can't do it. I'm sort of like I'm either all in or all out. It's sort of like I'll either sell everyone off, apart from 2 guys in that league in particular. I mean, I'll either sell everyone off so that I've got 2 guys who are going to be keepers and everyone else can go, or I'll sort of be like, I'll take the Les Snead approach and F them picks. So yeah.
Well, Ray might be getting a bit fed up with CMC, just to let you know, but he asked me in the Tesco's the other day, asked if I wanted him. I said, nah, it's all right. So, do you have any fantasy or draft day rituals for the NFL? Or
I mean, I guess I've sort of mentioned my sort of my grand draft day philosophy, which is do not pick a jet or a brown at any cost. Besides that, not really. I think it's just sort of because I just try and sort of be somewhat responsive. I'm sort of like, it is really, really irritating when you get sniped, right? But it's sort of like I usually try and have like at least a couple of guys ready in a given moment. But there is usually like 1 or 2 who I'm like, I actually really would have preferred that one. So, but no, I wouldn't say that I do have any real rituals. I think it's just sort of.
Well, I always wear my black commissioner's T-shirt for the draft every year. Unless it's back to Thursday night, I'm not going back to Tuesday. It just felt wrong last year being on a Tuesday night. But especially when we changed it and he was on fucking auto anyway, like, so yeah, no. But now what was I going to say? Yeah, was it Doug or Craig had Hankerson in their queue?
Well, this is it. I was thinking about that. I remember someone, I think it was
Craig or something like that, and then he ended up auto-drafting Hankerson.
He picked Leonard Hankerson with the 7th overall pick. And it was just like, even I was a bit like, God, that really isn't very good. That's a bad one. Yeah.
It was funny. Or when Ray first joined and he took Andy Dalton at 106.
Oh dear.
He was like, what the?
Oh no. I mean, this is it. I guess everyone makes their mistakes at some point. I guess it's just learning from it. But it is, I don't know, there is definitely a part of me that's sort of like when someone does drop a clanger, it's sort of like, I don't know, it's very much in the moment, like, do I feel sympathy for them or do I just think, idiot? But it's usually sympathy.
In fairness, Ray had never done fantasy football before. He just joined to make up the number to make it 16. I'm surprised he stayed this long, to be honest. He said, you sure you want to carry on? Because we've got a few that want to take your place. But now he wants to take part. It just obviously might not be there for the drive. Because his son drafted one. The best draft he ever had is when his son drafted for him. And it's just like, and he nearly made the playoffs. So yeah. But that I say, so we'll get on to the question. What question would you like to ask the next person on the show? And obviously that's Kelly, so that's Pork Belly.
Well, I've got a question for you before I pose my question. Is it something that should be fantasy NFL draft related, or should it be sort of just generally NFL related?
Well, I'll put it this way. Danny asked Murph a question about Arsenal winning any trophies this year.
Okay. Well, here is my question. Mine at least will still be NFL draft related, which would be if you could make one change to the NFL draft, like across the whole sort of, 3-day jamboree that it now is, what would it be? Would it be, more time for trading picks? Would it be less time? Would it be push it all back to 2 days? Like, yeah, I'm curious to know what people would do to change the draft and make it a bit more. I don't want to say interesting because it's still interesting, but yeah, like what would be the one thing that you'd be like? I don't know. It could be like no one's allowed to sort of say who, no sort of like shouting picks early or anything like that. I guess they've tried to stop that, but yeah, just what would my question to the next person would be? What would you do to improve the NFL draft?
I will pass that one on to Kelly and we'll find out next week. So here's the question you got from Pez today.
I'd say I'm going to go with the question I just mentioned before. Who's his draft sleeper?
Oh, okay. Thinking about it for this season, then I'm sort of racking my brains now. Then I'm not sure if this necessarily really counts, but I am thinking sort of just because I guess he is someone who has typically gone high before. I think now I'd be curious to see if he goes a little bit higher, but maybe Devontae Smith, because I do think there's a real player there who could score a lot of points. And if AJ Brown does go to the Patriots, as it seems like it's going to happen based on what's being talked about today, all of a sudden that does really clear the way. Like I always think teams where there's sort of a 1A and 1B is sort of a little bit. I find that quite frustrating from a fantasy perspective, because it's sort of like, well, they're just going to cannibalize each other to some extent. So now I think this could be sort of Devontae Smith with a handbrake off. I will be very interested to see what he does next. Admittedly, I found him incredibly frustrating last season. I was like, I'm never going to pick him again. But now that AJ Brown is going, there is definitely a part of me that's sort of like, but maybe this year. This is it. I keep on making the same mistakes. But Devontae Smith's definitely one. Another one that I'm sort of thinking about as well is, I know we mentioned him earlier, but for some reason I still sort of think Trey Benson, I think there might be sort of something in there. I think whenever he has played, he sort of does all right. I just sort of think now James Conner's not there, is he? Am I right in thinking that? In Arizona?
I thought he went an agency, but I'm not sure if they getting something to go back.
I feel like they might have signed someone else, but I don't know what it is. Trey Benson is someone that, like, in various sleeper league, in various dynasty leagues, I'm sort of like, I might make a move for him.
Who's on his team? Well, according to Sleeper, James Conner's still there. They've got Tyler Algier.
Yeah, okay.
Son of a
actually, yeah, he's probably not a bad one as well, actually.
Yeah,
actually, yeah. So just ignore everything that I've just said about Trey Benson, because now I'm like, actually, that's probably not going to hold up. Sorry, I have thought of one, actually, that I think Isaiah Likely, I think next season he's the one that I would be on board with drafting.
Yeah.
Because I sort of feel like with Jackson Dart, he's got a decent quarterback with Neighbours there, obviously, yeah, fine. But who knows what he's going to... Harbaugh already knows him. I sort of feel like the fact that Harbaugh's sort of been like, let's get this guy, I sort of feel like there must be something there. And no, I did pick Theo Johnson in a few leagues last year, but I don't get the impression that the Giants are wedded to him. I feel like Likely is very clear he was the number one tight end.
It was a good safety thing for Dart last year, Kenny. When Dart was playing, Theo was getting the ball.
Yeah.
But when he wasn't playing, he wasn't getting the ball much. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So having two tight ends, they might play two tight end sets like that, and that'd be quite a good couple of targets.
I guess I just sort of feel like Likely's been the one that's been mentioned as a breakout candidate for years and years and years now, and I sort of feel like maybe getting out of Mark Andrews' shadow could be something that I think works for him. That would be. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to look for Isaiah Likely in a few leagues next season.
Cool. Or as what they say, what's more likely? But here's another question for you. This is from Arthur, if I remember rightly.
Would you prefer to get to the Super Bowl many times and lose it, or just get to the Super Bowl once and win it? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it is unquestionably the latter option. Because as a Newcastle United fan, last March we won the Carabao Cup, the third most important trophy in England. It was the first time we'd won anything since 1969, when my dad was 5. And I will say this, I mean, it was unquestionably the best day of my life. So that moment of glory triumphs all. I mean, who wants to see endless failure? Tell that to a Buffalo Bills fan. Now you want that one day in the sun.
Yeah.
Because usually it is incredibly, gloomy otherwise. So, I would want that one sort of moment of glory.
It was a good question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I have just thought of one more thing, actually. Sorry, you asked about draft day rituals. I'm not sure if this necessarily counts as a ritual, but it's because people have questioned it multiple times. I mean, one person did question me during a draft and was like, "Did you mean to do this?" But I'm a very, very strong, sort of advocate for drafting multiple tight ends really high. By that, I mean sort of in the, potentially within the first 6 to 8 picks or something like that. Like, I will always try to get more quality tight ends than I need, just because it's a position it's so hard potentially to find quality in. If you have sort of that security there, you just know that there's not going to be that many other options, so you know that other people aren't going to be able to pick, aren't going to be able to find someone else to easily replace that. So it's not a sexy trade asset to have, but it can be quite a good one. And I just think tight ends, I love them.
You're not the only one. Somebody else that ever said they love the tight ends. I can't remember which one it was, but there's somebody definitely loves the tight ends. There'll be on YouTube somewhere, but it's it's because obviously you get the main two to start with, but obviously Kelsey's not there. But you've still got, like, Warren's good. You've got Loveland, who came up.
Yeah,
Fannin for the Browns. I know you don't like the Browns, but he was a bit on the bright spot.
He's still, yeah.
And
the one on the Chargers now, I've picked him up a couple of places.
Gadsden,
yeah. Because I sort of feel like, could he be the new Antonio Gates? I mean, in respect,
he was awesome. Antonio Gates was.
So I'm sort of just like, as I say, there was one league where I had back-to-back picks. Sort of it was at the the end of the snake, and I picked. I'm pretty sure it was Laporta and Kittle back to back, and they're like, "Did you mean to take 2 tight ends?" And I was, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it's fine. This is my grand plan." And then I think Kittle done his, got injured quite early on. And I was like, "This has not worked out," but I still believe the strategy works.
I think there was one draft. Was it the Scottish Bowl? It was one of the charity ones, and it was a good target for the tight ends. And I think, because I wasn't really caring, I think I picked 6 tight ends in the first 10 rounds. I just took all the good ones, because I was on pick 12. So pick 12, I took McBride and Bowers. And then the next lot I took Laporta and another one. Then I took a couple of, then I went. Because it was a really good bonus. Obviously, a lot of them they got bloody injured. I didn't do that great, but I think it might be Scottish Bowl, because I think Martin sussed out what I was doing. He was on the second pick. So in the middle of it somewhere, he was like, he's picking all the tight ends. I'm going to take 2. So he stopped my run of tight ends. It was raging like. But when you do a charity, you know you want to win. But I think it's all about raising the money. I don't really care if I win or not, to be honest. But it's all a bit of fun. So
yeah.
So I got one more question for you, and this is a good one. This is from Daniel.
Would you rather approach Monday night's game with 2 remaining players and their projected score gets you the win, or would you rather be going in ahead with no one else to play?
I guess it depends on who the players are. Like, for example, if it's sort of something like it's Saquon Barkley and like Jamal Chase, I'd probably be like, I'll take my chances. But if it's not sort of like, I guess every team has like at least a couple of stars. So I'm sort of figuring if at least one of those isn't playing late, I would much rather just have the points in the bank. Just because I'm sort of like, then you can sort of just be like, well, whatever happens. You can just actually, sleep without having to sort of be like, oh my God, are they going to score?
I do like to be over on Sunday night, so I don't have to worry about Monday night.
Yeah, If by Monday, I always sort of think like by Monday morning, you should probably, whatever's going to happen has happened. So it sounds a bit stupid, but I don't, sort of spend a ton of time sort of fixating on the Monday night game. I'm sort of like, I look at the projection to be like, if it expects us to win, great. If not, I'll sort of be like, fair enough. Probably should have done more.
I think he was asking for this will be his second year in the NFL, like fantasy football, and he was in Pez's Clovis dynasty. It's Ian's cousin, and I think come Monday night he had Miles Garrett and another defender, and between the pair of them they scored like 60-odd points to win the game. Because it was Orkneybowl scoring, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think it very much depends on who the players are, but I'd typically say,
I'd rather have the points.
I'd rather just have the points, yeah.
Yeah, because you've done what you can after that. You don't have to, if you get beat, you get beat. If you win, you've won. So.
Yeah, and by that point, there's nothing you can actually do anyway, is there? I mean, because you can't chop and change it. You can't be like even if you have two guys left, you're sort of stuck with them. So it's a bit like, because you're not going to find someone else in agency who's going to be like, this guy's going to win me this game. No. It just doesn't, that just never happens.
Or even worse, you've got 3 over 2 spots, and which two you're going to pick.
Yeah. And
I doubt you pick the wrong one and you kick yourself.
I mean, I always pick the wrong people. I'd rather.
That's why you've won so many fucking league titles, because you always pick the wrong people.
Yeah, but what I mean is, because I would say seasons where I've been less successful have been ones where I've tried to just sort of get like a level of good players across sort of everything, rather than just trying to get like just enough star power to sort of like cover up any deficiencies. I think that would maybe be a question that I would sort of ask for someone else as well in the future. Would be like, would you prefer to have like sort of in a sort of 11 team starting, sorry, how many? Yeah, nine sort of starting players or whatever. I don't know if that's how many there is. And like a 16 team roster. Would you rather have like 3 really, really exceptional players and then a lot of sort of like all right players, or would you rather just have like a squad of pretty good players across, but no real
balanced team?
Like, yeah, exactly. Would you rather be top heavy or just sort of balanced out? And here's another question I would ask. Sorry, I'm
3 questions.
Another question would be, in a 12-team draft, what would be your ideal spot to pick in a redraft league? In a 12-team redraft league, 1 QB, what would be your ideal spot for picking? Bear in mind that obviously if you pick first overall, then you're sort of end of the second round.
Mm-hmm. And it's not third round reversal. I only do that in dynasties. I don't do it in redraft. So. I don't.
I'm sort of thinking snake all the way through. So because I mean, I don't know. I asked the question. I'll volunteer my own answer. I would much rather be in the second half of a sort of situation like that. Mm-hmm. Just because then it means you don't have too long to wait until you've got your next pick, and I just think that's quite important for flexibility.
I do like being on the turn, but sometimes the fourth spot's okay, because obviously your decision's made for you. You've got the 3 good players are gone. You're going to get the next best player. You're not having like the first pick. You can go. Is it going to be Bijan or Gibbs or Chase? Then you get the second. The third is going to be the same. Choice. And then when you get to the fourth, you're basically, your choice is merely made for you. Because
I would probably actually say I would probably prefer to be 7th or 8th then, because then you're sort of in the middle. You're never too far away from your next pick, but you've always got like you still then got a decent amount of choice. It's not like you're totally screwed if you're the 7th pick.
True.
I don't think.
But then there is something about being like the 12th pick and being on the turn. But like you say, you have a long wait to get to your pick again.
You've got a long. I'm not super into that wait, because it's just like no hating on anyone else. But if it's a slow draft league as well, it can just be like, oh my god, it could be literally a day until our next pick, and that's just very frustrating.
It is.
Because then you pick twice, and then it's all like, oh great, now I have to wait again.
Yes, well,
I'm sort of like one of those kids who just would have been terrible to have, like watching other people play video games. No, I want it to be my turn.
Well, this is why I want the new one that we're doing to be a a quick draft because I do like a quick draft too. Like so apart from that.
Yeah.
Because there is something about it. Then you get sniped. You've got to have a queue ready, or you're scrambling about for 90 seconds before you get a pick, or it's an auto pick.
Yeah.
So when you're that's a strategy. When you're not picking and you're waiting for your pick, you set yourself up a queue, and then you take off the top of the queue, and then when it goes round, you start building again for the next one.
But that's why I don't like being sort of at the sort of bookends of a round, because then even if you set it, then you'll have set it in order, and when you see those guys that you actually want sort of just getting picked off one by one, and then it's like, all right, that guy was actually my sort of 9th choice, for this next pick, and then it's sort of like, that is a bit of a sickener. So
cool. Well, I'll make sure that Kelly gets all 3 of the questions. For next Monday.
I mean, feel free to ration them across other people as well. But yeah,
I think I might because I've got these 3 ones. I'll definitely do the one about what's your draft pick preference because that is a good one. That's because a lot of people have different preferences. Some people like to go early, some people like to go late, in the middle. So it'd be an interesting way to do that one. So it'd be quite cool. And I was speaking to Pez. What how I like to do my little form things for people to fill in. I was thinking before the season, for a bit of fun, I might do one for everybody and they can predict the division winners, MVP, Rookie of the Year, comeback player, and then if we can get as many people in as we can, then come the end of the season, we can see who did best. There'll be no prize, it'll just be a bit of fun. So, just something to keep track of through the year.
Yeah, definitely.
We do it in the Pez and Pork show, but it'd be quite fun if we can get more people than just the 3 of us doing it. If you want to pick the OrkneyBowl ones because they're usually a complete mess. Like I didn't even pick myself to win last year, and I lost it by 1 by not picking myself. I was like, no bother. But thank you for coming on. It's been great to chat to you, and it's been a wee while. But and good luck in the Scarabray. Obviously, at least you've one of the other 10 people could stop Mike from winning 3 in a row.
I mean, I thought for a decent chunk of last season I was in a good spot, and then, well, yeah.
It was just you were like up there, but I think it was just at the end you just sort of
it really fell
away
off.
A bit, so.
That was quite frustrating because I was like, I was looking at, I was like, there was, I think in that league or maybe another one, I was sort of like, I was easily putting up more, like significantly more points than anyone else, or I had sort of significantly more. And then at the end, it just totally faded away. And it's like, what an anticlimax. How very Arsenal of me. But there we go.
Yeah, it was a close one. Obviously, I think, who won it in the end? Was it Jack? Did he win it? No, it was Graham Parker. He won. He beat Jack in the final, and I think you were 3rd or 4th. I think it was or something like that. So
yeah,
I think you beat the Gaddafi. No. But then the fun part with your new division, though, because you're in the very, very top one, only 4 teams make the playoff, and the other 8 get relegated. So
okay, well, no pressure.
Because the final's over 2 weeks. Because it makes it a nice game.
Yeah, I don't hate that either, to be fair. So,
I did say in one of the other shows, said if the NFL make it 18 weeks from, like, add an extra game on, as long as there's no bye weeks in week 15, 16, I might just, instead of putting an extra fixture on, just make each final over 2 legs.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. And it could potentially be that the Scarabray has everything over 2 legs for the knockouts, which would be quite fun. So I will adapt to depending on what they decide what they want to do, but at the moment it's that way. But and then obviously me and Craig will do a draw on depending whether you're going to go back on the East Coast or the West Coast. So you could be completely new people, so it's quite a good way, Kevin. So it's fun. And it's a top division for a reason, so the top 4 stay up and the rest try and get back up the next year. But then 4 go up from each division, so you've still got a good chance. It's just like going before, so and you usually are in the top 4, so you're all right.
Well, I didn't want to say because I obviously sort of assume that everyone in that division has really sort of earned their corn to get there. So I don't think there's going to be any mugs, but I do usually in a redraft fancy myself to do okay. I rarely expect to actually win, but I do usually sort of think if I can be in the top. I sort of would like to think most of the time I'm sort of just hoping to sort of get vaguely close. So,
well, we've got three from Show Me the Money in the Scarborough division.
Oh, okay.
Which yourself, Graham, and Ross.
Okay.
Who did really well last year. He just fell away at the end, but he was up like second for most of the season. He just fell away a bit at the end, but yeah. But so it should be fun. We've got a couple of rivalries in that one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good.
Good stuff. But thank you for coming on, and good luck next season. And I'm looking forward to see how you get on. Obviously, not good luck in the Show Me the Money, because obviously I want to win it. But
well, I hope you do well until hopefully then the factory sort of just churns out a win when it matters. So yeah.
I think if you win next year by like having just your two keepers and no picks until about the 8th round, but then you'll probably like throw 2 years worth of draft picks away to try and get back up the top. So you never know.
Yeah, that is the thing. I think I'm going to restrain myself from doing that, because if I do, then that at least my current plan of just trading 1 year ahead, it's sort of like if I do 2, that could be a potential killer for years. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see how desperate other people, Craig, get.
Well,
but we'll
Craig
see.
doesn't really draft that much, so he doesn't want to kill himself with I think I went for it a couple of years ago, but I had a couple of drafts, but not as mental as what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. I just Craig's a funny one, and to be clear, I know I've just taken the mic, but I do think he's interesting because he's sort of. Sometimes he'll fold a little bit earlier than I would guess, and sometimes he'll sort of go all in when I'm sort of like, well, I'm not really. But he makes big moves, and I personally am very much in that frame of mind as well. So I sort of think fair play to him, but moving 2 years worth of stuff is just too big a gamble, I sort of think. So I'm very curious to see if he or Doug or Grody or anyone else actually does that. It'll be fascinating to see how that changes the dynamic.
Considering 95% of the trades are in your division, usually with each other.
Well, that is very definitely believable. Yeah, I can totally see that.
So just call that division trading, and that'd be easier,
Well, it is interesting. Obviously, having divisions is great. But yeah, it is sort of interesting when it sort of very, very quickly becomes just an arms race between 3 or 4 of us. And it's sort of just a bit like, I don't know, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but you're sort of trying to hoover up sort of people from other divisions who are maybe sort of haven't got off to the strongest start, and then it's sort of like, well, that division is obviously then sort of somewhat buggered because we're trying to sort of, beat the crap out of each other.
Yes. It does. It's quite entertaining watching that happen, because you just do beat the crap out of each other.
And Doug and Craig, just the verbal sort of niggling, it never stops.
Well, I do call them a married couple here for a reason like that. But anyway,
just mad.
Good luck next season, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, thank you. All the best to you as well. And thanks very much for having me on.